The Indiana Fever came into Wednesday night clicking on all cylinders, and without a doubt, they left no doubt against the Connecticut Sun behind an offensive explosion, winning this thing in dominating fashion, 123-88, winning now 5 of its last 6 games. What a way to end this first half of the season with an exclamation point.
Keep breaking records. All right, so let's get us started with our stats for tonight. So, with 123 points scored tonight, the Fever have totaled their 11th game with 100 more points scored, tying a WNBA record with 17 games still to play. The score also set a franchise record for most points in a game and is the third most in a non-overtime game in WNBA history. The 70 points in the first half mark a new franchise record for points and a half, previously set at 64. Through the first 3 quarters of play, the trio in front of us, Aaliyah, Caitlin, and Kelsey, scored a total of 69 points, the same total as the entirety of the Suns roster at that time. Kelsey had her 11th consecutive game with 3 or more three-pointers, made a new WNBA record. And Caitlin had her 23rd career point assist double-double, the 4th most in WNBA history. And this is the 7th time that the trio of Aaliyah, Caitlin, and Kelsey have each scored 20 or more points, and the 3rd time this season. No teammate trio in the rest of the W has totaled more than 1 instance. So, our 3 All-Stars for you guys. Take it away, Tony.
Yeah, you put up 123. Everything felt like it was clicking on offense. Where did you guys sense things were going right on that end of the floor, and how quickly did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like one of our goals tonight was to come out and start well, because we've kind of struggled in that area the last couple games. So thought we did that, really well. Our defense wasn't very good in the first quarter, but it was better there in the second. And then, we're able to build a comfortable lead. And I thought we just played with really good pace and sharing the ball really well. It felt like our offense was really flowing.
1 assist off the franchise record as well, but you 3 specifically have talked about learning to play together over these couple of years, and when you missed time last year, that impacted that. How do you feel like you 3 have connected recently on the offensive end of the floor specifically?
Yeah, I think we are super connected. I think for us, it's just making sure that we just execute our plays, and when we do that, everyone gets theirs. I think for C and Kels, it's super hard for teams to guard them. They can score in many different ways, and so it's just what we do. We're just continue to execute.
Caitlin, before the game, Stephanie White said that you told her, hey, I'm not a minutes restriction tonight. So how'd you feel just getting out of that one and having freeness
Still
in
only
basketball?
played 27 minutes. Crazy. No, I'm joking. But, I feel great. I feel like I've felt kind of like myself over the course of the last 3 games and just continued to build that and stay on top of everything. But, it's kind of nice when, you build a hefty lead like that and then you're able to kind of get some rest there in the 4th quarter. And then a lot of my teammates were able to get in and contribute, and it was really fun to see them, keep the same level of play. Everybody came in, and when their number was called, they were ready, and that was even the same for the first half. When people got subbed in, they were ready, and, they allowed our offense to keep going, and then our defense kind of kicked in too, so I'm just proud of everybody.
I'm not sure if you're aware that you got a technical foul tonight.
I'm aware, yeah.
Sometimes you come in here, you say, hey, I just didn't know, but you said in the past you wouldn't change anything, but
yeah.
How do you?
She said that she was guarding, she said she was locking me up, so I said scoreboard, and the ref didn't like that. But
What quarter was this?
it was in the 3rd.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got subbed in. You got subbed in right after that.
They got a technical foul.
It's not funny, Kelsey.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I guess how do you balance that when you know one more is a suspension? And
I'm never gonna back down, and I think it was the same thing with the way Kelsey was in the first half too. She got one in the eye. She's never gonna back down from a moment, and I think just continue to try to control your emotions the best you can, and that intensity and that fire is what makes me me. But also knowing my team needs me and finding a good balance of that. But I don't think I'm going to be playing with that in the back of my head. I think that might hinder my play a little bit. So I think just continue to be myself, and then just try to refocus to focusing on my teammates and how I can help them.
Do you think it's inevitable or no?
I don't know. I can't predict the future. You got to ask the Magic 8 Ball.
Caitlin, for you mentioned kind of feeling back to yourself. How much these past 3 games has it been kind of almost like a mental boost for you?
Yeah, it's I mean, like you never like being out with injury. Like it's hard for anybody, and I think especially last year, like having to go through it, like the four games off, 4 games play, 4 games on, 4 games whatever it was. Like that's really hard to kind of find a flow. So, I think for myself, like just being resilient and able to get my body back pretty quickly to where it was before I missed a couple games, and then just finding my flow. And sometimes it can be hard for my teammates too. Like you don't want to come in and disrupt when you haven't been in a couple games. So just kind of easing my way back into everything, and they've made it easy too.
Kelsey, I'm curious, from your perspective, what have you seen from Caitlin here over these past few games as she's gotten healthier?
I just think her ability to lead, even while dealing with injury, and wanting to be your best self and letting your body be at your best self is a really big deal for us. We've always obviously had some fluctuation as far as like people being in and out. So I get my hats off to Tutu to still like lead us and put us in the right position to really be effective.
Chelsea, anybody else as well? Do you think that this is a team peaking at the right time going into the All-Star break, the way you guys have been playing lately and the way you've been scoring?
Yeah, I do think it's important. I think momentum and just having the basketball guys on your side in ways that, that you really don't understand, really, I think it's true. I think the way in which you love the game, you pour into the game is the way you want it to show love to you back. And I think that we've done a decent job lately as far as keeping ourselves committed to the grind and committed to what, Steph has set for us. But more importantly, I think momentum going into our second half of our season is really big for us. Once you start, you kind of don't stop. And I think, our next couple of opponents that we do come to see, I think these games kind of help us prepared to see whatever we want to see in the second half of the season.
You said last week that you don't really like to talk unless it's about basketball. So how do you vent through the game?
Keep the main thing. Certain things don't require a lot of talking. So I try to keep a happy balance and just keep my mind focused on what matters.
So All-Star weekend coming up. We'll be making an appearance on Stud Buds. What's all planned for you guys this weekend? Festivities up in Chicago.
They separated us, man. I know, man. They trying to make us enemies. It can never happen, But it'll be fun. I think that we all enjoy ourselves, enjoy our families. We'll enjoy each other no matter where we are. And hopefully we can represent the Fever in the right way. And like I said, this is individually a really good thing to have on your resume. And so hopefully we can get a chance to enjoy it while we can have it. So.
Any chance you two are going to take it easy on Kelsey if you guys get matched up against her? If she comes straight at you?
Then I
Ask her if she's going to take it easy on us. Ask her that.
No.
Thanks, guys.
Having this kind of win to go into All-Star break, what does it mean for the momentum of the
It's
team?
big. It's big because this is a game like this is one of the hardest ones to play. You're just before All-Star break, not on break yet. A team that's been in so many games and has had played us well. And I'm proud of our group for being locked in, for staying locked in. Getting contributions from multiple players. It's a really good win for us. Heading into the break and now we can enjoy it.
And Caitlin picked up her 7th tech tonight. I know you talked about being strategic in using technical fouls, but how does that conversation continue knowing she's one away from?
Well, anybody who thinks that if I have a plan to be strategic about technical fouls is crazy. No, I mean, look, she's gotta pick and choose, right? She's got to pick and choose, and it's every 2 after that. So, I think the biggest thing is she knows, she has awareness about it. We'll try to help her when we can, but sometimes we can't. And if she wants to be strategic about which game she doesn't want to play, then she'll let her fly.
Steph, your talent level on offense obviously is what it is, but 3 of the highest scoring games in Fever history have been in the last 40 days. I mean, what has stepped up on that end of the floor recently that you guys just keep putting up these numbers?
I mean, I think that we've talked about it earlier in the season. Like, it's just a matter of time before we start gelling. We've got some new pieces that are playing. One in particular that missed a lot of time last year, that has the ball in her hands a lot. And I think, figuring out one another again for those 3 in particular, but, with KK's emergence, getting Maya and Mo involved, and, Lexi's role is different when Caitlin's back on the floor. Sophie's role is different when Caitlin's back on the floor, and, working everybody else in. It's just, I know nobody wants to be patient anymore, but it truly is not something that happens right away. It happens in its own time, and it happens organically, and it happens when you continue to work, and we've continued to work, and they've continued to trust that process.
As it pertains to the 3 All-Stars and gelling, they talked about, like, Caitlin missed a lot of last year, so they played one way, and they had to work it back in to get it all together. Did they do any extra work? Is this just natural ability? Like, why have they all clicked more together recently to you?
Well, they're really good, number one. And number two, it's playing. You know, you can't really substitute game reps. We can try to do some of that in practice, and we do, and they start to get a little bit more connected, and you see it in practice as well. But you got to have reps, and it's just a matter of time before they kind of fall into understanding how to put one another in positions to be successful. That's the great thing about sport, is that there is a process for a reason, and that when you're in it every day, you trust that it's going to happen, and it's happening.
Steph, do you think that teams may try to bait Caitlin? We saw, like, the little dust-up she had with Diamond before the tech.
I don't know. Maybe, but if so, I mean, she's got to attack that like she does a matchup, and she's got to attack that like she does a coverage.
And then for you, what does All-Star break kind of do for you, just mentally, emotionally, whatever, just to kind of take a deep breath and then get ready for second half?
It allows me to disappear for a little while, which will be great. Spend some time with my family, just decompress for a little while, because it gets crazy. I mean, it's a gauntlet when we come back. It's crazy that this is the easier part of the season in terms of travel and cadence and all of those things. So really just try to decompress and take a breath, maybe read a book, and go watch our All-Stars and then get back to work.
Game about the defense needing to be elite still. I believe this is 7 of the last 9 games. You haven't allowed 100 points and 88 tonight. I guess, what have you seen on that side of the ball over the last 10 games going into the break?
I think our activity level has been better more consistently. I think our ability to lock in and answer runs and stop runs has been better. I think our rotations have been better. Our communication has been better, and building trust. I mean, it's just like the offensive end, but even more so on the defensive end. Building trust in one another and understanding that, if I execute what I'm supposed to execute, somebody's going to have my back, and continuing to get better and to grow. Like, yes, we're better than we were 2 weeks ago, and as a coaching staff, our job is to continue to try to get us where we think we need to be. But our players are responding. They understand how important it is, and they're going out and they're executing it.
Behind the scenes, have you sensed almost a change in energy and kind of an increase in confidence with Caitlin as she's continued getting healthier here, especially with the performance over these past few games?
Yeah, I mean, her bounce, and her explosiveness. I think her movement, it's not. I think everybody can see it when she's in a flow and she's in a rhythm and she's not thinking. She's bouncier and her burst is back. I think that's where you notice it the most. Her burst is back, but I think even just the way that she carries herself. There's no second guessing. There's no questioning her body. She's put in the work, and she knows it, and she's trusting it.
I had one more on Caitlin. She had 5 threes in like 9 minutes, and I know you talked about the stuff that she does. We haven't seen it before, but you've been on this league for a long time. To say that a player has done something, and it seems like every other night for Caitlin, this hasn't been done since this player or ever.
Yeah.
How does that maybe just quantify her greatness?
I mean, it's crazy. You think about, you turn your head and all of a sudden you hear the crowd and it's she's hit a 3 or taken a 3, and it just happens so quickly. She's got that it factor, right? She's got it, and she can heat up in a hurry. She doesn't need a lot of time. She doesn't need a lot of space, and when she's on balance, you always think it's going to go in. And I just think that she's playing really great basketball. She was playing really great basketball prior to the injury as well. But I'm also really pleased with the 11 assists. I mean, I think her game management for most of the game was outstanding. It's easy to get caught up in her made threes, but she has an elite skill in her ability to see the floor as well, and that just makes everybody else's job so much easier. Thank you.
Franchise records for this Fever team here on Wednesday night. 123 points. That's the most ever for points in a game for the Fever. And for shooting percentage, 62%. An offensive onslaught for the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark with 27 points, 11 assists. Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston up over 20 points. The Fever have now won 12 of their last 17 games. Clicking at the right time and going into the All-Star break happy. 13 Sports will be in Chicago for you, bringing you all the action. Here at Gamers Fieldhouse, I'm Dominic Miranda, 13 Sports.